This is why DoorDash is wrong for you. DoorDash can be great for a lot of people to work as either a side hustle or a temporary full-time job, but there are plenty of people that should not be working DoorDash, and you might be one of them. In this video, I'm going to give you a list of reasons why DoorDash probably isn't right for you, and you should probably get out or not even start it in the first place. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you why I still continue to work DoorDash as part of my income. I think I should start off with some pretty obvious ones because this might help weed some of the people out. Number one and number two, you can't be alone and you don't like driving. This may seem obvious, but I think that you should evaluate if you actually like to do these two things. Because when you are on the road doing DoorDash or even other gig apps for that matter, Uber Eats, Grubhub, Instacart, you are alone for long periods of the day. Yes, you are going into restaurants, picking up the food and delivering it to customers, but when you're waiting for orders, you are just in your car, sitting around for long periods of time, and sometimes you can get so bored just waiting for a good order to pop up. And so you really need to be okay with being alone and away from friends, family, coworkers. People don't realize that like being in an office, like when you're around coworkers all day long, like that actually helps you interact with people and not feel as lonely or as bored. Number two was that you don't like driving. Now, I actually don't like driving that much. And so this is the reason why I wanted to put it on the list. I don't like driving long distances. If it's like 2 hours or 3 hours in a car where I'm just sitting there driving with no brakes, no stops. But I've realized while I have been a delivery driver for a while that I'm actually okay driving as long as it's short trips, like 5 miles or less, because I can get out of the car, I can walk into the restaurant, I can walk to the customer's door, and so I'm stretching my legs constantly. And if I'm waiting too long in between orders, I can also get out of my car and move around. I don't have to be in my car for the entire time. This next one is a big one, and maybe why you shouldn't drive for DoorDash is if you're not self-motivated. We are self-employed when we work for any of these companies, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, you name it. So I think it's so important that you put it in your mind right now that you are going to work the hours that you set out for yourself, because you need to make your income. When you are an employee, you have your schedule set for you, and so you know you're going to come in at this time and leave at that time, and you have to set a schedule for yourself and decide that you are going to work those hours because you need that income. I see far too many people either posting about it or in some comments saying that they just work whatever they feel like, and they don't really have a goal. They just like try to go out and make some money, enough to cover rent or bills. If you're just doing this as a side hustle, you might be okay with using that strategy, just doing it here and there to make just a little extra money. But especially if you are relying on this for all or most of your income, you need a strong plan and you have to execute on it. You just have to, because you are your own boss in your own business, and you need to make sure that you more than cover your rent and your bills expenses so that you can save a little money away for taxes and for other things that you want to do, not to even mention what you are trying to put away for retirement. You also need to enjoy being self-employed. There are a lot of good things that come with being self-employed. Like you get freedom because you're your own boss, you have flexibility because you can work whenever you want, but there are also a lot of negative things that come with being self-employed. Taxes are a big one. We actually pay a higher tax rate than if you were just an employee because you have to pay payroll taxes. You have to pay those anyway when you're an employee, but half of that is covered by your employer. When you're self-employed, you have to pay the employee side and the employer side of this tax. It's 15.3% when you factor in the tax for Social Security and everything else that goes into it. So it is expensive, and you have to save money away for it so that you can pay those high tax rates. Not everyone is cut out to be that good at money management to where you know you're going to have enough money left over after all your expenses to also pay these taxes. Money management is a huge part of this job as well, because eventually your car is probably going to wear out and you're going to have to buy a new one, or you just have some major repairs that you have to do, like getting new tires, maybe getting a new battery for your car every couple years. Like, there are so many different things that you're going to have to think about and spend money on, going to a mechanic or buy a new car. Like, you have to be good at managing your finances to where you have enough saved up in the bank to make these purchases. Not only do you have to pay for these car repairs or buy a new car, you have to buy gas all the time, especially if you're working this full time. It's probably multiple times a week where you have to fill up your tank. And gas right now is so expensive. So you need to make sure that you have enough money in the bank to pay for things like gas. Having an irregular income is a huge part of being a delivery driver. You have no idea how much you're going to make in any given day or week or month. You might be able to set goals for yourself to help you maybe reduce that fluctuation in income to where you're making close to the same amount every day, week, or month, but you just never know. It might be extremely slow in your market and you might make a lot less money, or it might be extremely busy in your market that day or week, and you're going to make more money per hour than you would have predicted. With a regular W-2 job, you don't have to worry about this irregular income. Usually they can pay you a set amount every single paycheck to where you're not have to worry about how much you're going to be making, so that you can just set your budget up and expenses accordingly to where you don't ever have to worry about spending too much money. Speaking of being a full-time employee at a business, they may offer you healthcare. This is something we do not get as delivery drivers, and so we have to set that up all on our own. That takes extra research to determine what is the best healthcare plan that we need to get on. But when you're an employee, they might pay for like the premiums that you have to pay every single month or paycheck. A 401k and paid time off is also another huge bonus that you get as an employee. Sometimes the company will match money into your 401k, which basically means that you pay into it to save for retirement, and the company will also pay you to save for your retirement. And paid time off, it is so nice to just take a break from work for a week or two and have the company pay for your time. Since we were just talking about healthcare, I also need to mention that delivery driving can be dangerous. Car accidents are pretty common. I mean, they happen all the time, and a lot of them aren't too serious. But other times, car accidents can be very scary and can get you hurt or even worse. And so, you have to keep that in mind, especially when you're on the road all the time. It's something in the back of my mind all the time. These apps and companies are also unpredictable, and you can get deactivated for any reason. DoorDash does not need to give you a good reason for deactivating your account, and sadly, you may never get it back, and you may lose this source of income permanently. As much as you try to fight it and say that it's unfair, unfortunately, there isn't too much that you can do to get your account back if they don't want you to have it. Another way that DoorDash is not right for you is that you don't have other streams of income. Delivery driving is just one part of everything I do to provide for my family and make sure that we have enough to live on. Getting other apps can be a great start. Let's say you're only activated on DoorDash right now. Maybe you need to go apply for more apps like Uber Eats and Grubhub, or different shopping apps like Instacart and Shipt. Maybe you need to get activated on those, so if anything happens to your DoorDash account, you can still make money. Other ways you can make money is getting a part-time or full-time job as an employee. That way you can just do DoorDash on the side. This has been a pretty negative video so far, and so I want to shed a little bit of positivity and say why I continue to DoorDash. Personally, I love being self-employed. I enjoy having so much freedom to be able to work whenever I want and not have to be tied down and do anything that my boss tells me, because I'm my own boss and I have so much flexibility. I can work whenever I want and however much I want to work. Like, it is, if I want to work 90 hours one week, I can totally do that. If I want to work 20 hours one week, I can do that as well, as long as I'm managing my finances properly and making sure that I have enough money to pay all of my bills and to save money over for taxes and for retirement. Since DoorDash is so flexible, I have been able to get activated on plenty of other apps. So if anything happened to my DoorDash account, I can still make plenty of money as a delivery driver. I also have other streams of income too. Like, I have this YouTube channel, for example. I started over a year ago and I made $0 on it for the longest time, but I continue to stick with it and work my hardest to provide great videos for you to enjoy. And eventually I started making a little bit of money from it, and I am so grateful for that. And so now I'm not so worried if anything were to happen on the road and I potentially didn't have any income from DoorDash anymore. That's why I continue to be a DoorDash driver, even though there are plenty of negative things that I can say. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.